everyone. My name is Joy Owens, and I'm the Education Manager at the Elephant Sanctuary in Tennessee. Today, we are celebrating World Elephant Day by talking with a few of our international partners from around the world. Through a generous bequest from the Mark Hopkins Shell Trust, the Sanctuary collaborates with and supports international organizations on 4 continents: Africa, Europe, Asia, and South America, with a focus on human-elephant conflict, anti-poaching, habitat preservation, research and fieldwork, rescue and rehabilitation, improved management and care in captivity, and veterinary care. Joining me now is Kartick Satyanarayan of Wildlife SOS from India. Thanks for talking with me today, Kartick, and did I get your name mostly correct?
Absolutely, Joy. You nailed it. It was absolutely perfect.
Perfect. So can you just start by telling us a little bit about what Wildlife SOS does and how you guys got started?
Of course. First of all, I'd like to thank you for having me today. And it's great to speak with all of you. Your team at the Tennessee Elephant Sanctuary is such an inspiring team, because I remember on my recent visit to your facility, it was so warm, your team was so welcoming, and everybody showed us everything and shared a lot of knowledge. And since then, we've been even closely associated with you all. You've been helping us with many projects, and I'm delighted to be speaking with you today. To start off, I'd like to tell you that Wildlife SOS was started by me and another founder called Geeta Seshamani, who's also visited the Tennessee Elephant Sanctuary with me. We started the organization in 1995, so quite some time ago. And Wildlife SOS was created by us primarily to make a difference to wildlife protection in India. We wanted to focus on animals in distress and how we could find out-of-the-box solutions to resolve problems, including human-wildlife conflict, by coming up with mitigation solutions, but also at the same time addressing issues of welfare, illegal wildlife trafficking, building a sense of compassion and kindness in the minds of people, increasing public tolerance. That was our goal to start off with. And in 1995, the one thing that really shook us from within and made us want to start Wildlife SOS and get it moving forward more than anything else was a sight on the streets of India, which was dancing bears. So we have an endangered species of bear called sloth bear, which is only found in the Indian subcontinent. And we have a subspecies in Sri Lanka. But these bear cubs were stolen from the wild by some communities, and their mothers were killed. And then these cubs were then brutalized. They would hold them down and use a red hot iron poker and put a hole through its muzzle and put a rope through them and make them perform on the streets. And that's what got us moving, really. And then we were determined to bring an end to that. It took us 20 long years to address that issue, but we took every single bear off the street. We rescued 628 bears. And what really gave us confidence to address the issue of elephants in India was the fact that we helped every single family that was involved in exploiting those bears. Rather than punish them, we found them alternative skills and we gave them alternative livelihoods. And that made sure that they never had to go back to exploiting bears again. And as a result of that, we were able to rehabilitate 3,000 families, make a long-term permanent change, and wipe off this huge brutal practice that was also illegal in India off the face of this country. And that gave us confidence to take on the issue of elephants in India. And so Wildlife SOS has been really an organization that does quite a lot of things that most people think are impossible to achieve or very controversial or difficult to tackle. So we just believe in getting down and doing it and getting it done.
I really love that. And I've heard you talk about the sloth bears before, and I find that really inspiring. And so you said now you've started working more with elephants. So what specifically do you guys do with elephants in India?
So, as you know, India has had, we of course have the elephant gods, Ganesh, but we also have the last stronghold for Asian elephants in the world. We have 50% of the wild Asian elephant population that lives in our country. But that also means they are living in a landscape that is largely human dominated, because we also have one of the world's largest population of human beings. We have 1.3 billion people. So people are living literally cheek to jowl with wild animals. And that means, there's a lot of interaction between humans and elephants. Of course, so there is a huge issue with conflict because elephants are in the forest. They see delicious crops growing right, next to them, literally on the edge of the forest. So they find it, a better use of energy to go there and snack on that for nutrition. The farmers don't like that very much. And, that is an issue that brings people to confrontational situation with elephants. And that's one of the things that we are trying to tackle, which is human-elephant conflict mitigation. The other thing that Wildlife SOS is aiming to do is to set up realistic and practical solutions to address illegal elephant trafficking across India. And a lot of elephant calves are poached, trained. Of course, they break the spirit. The training process is extremely brutal. And then these elephants are then sold to circuses, temples, street begging, things like that. And in order to tackle that, what we are trying to do is to break the back of the illegal trafficking industry by working closely with the enforcement authorities. At the same time, we're also trying to create awareness in the minds of the public with our campaign, which is called Refuse to Ride. And we have a resource website called refusetoride.org that people can go and visit and educate themselves, empower themselves with knowledge about what it takes for them to get on an elephant and get a ride on it for a few minutes. Elephant rides are promoting illegal elephant trafficking. And so we try to get that message across to people so that we can tackle it at both ends, not only through enforcement and the law, but also through public awareness. We also have something called an Elephant Legal Defense Fund, which helps tackle elephant issues through the judiciary. We have a team of advocates and solicitors who work closely with us, and investigators. We gather intelligence. In fact, as you and I are speaking today, we have a team of informers working closely with the Wildlife Crime Control Bureau, cracking down on a team of smugglers who are moving some ivory that they have poached, and they're moving across state borders. So we're trying to tackle that as I speak here with you. The other issue is that traditionally in India, elephants have been, chained and kept in temples and other places where, people do pray to elephants, they revere them, but unfortunately a lot of the public who visit temples are not aware of what it takes for that elephant, and they're also not aware that that elephant in the temple that's blessing them is an elephant that came from the wild. And so we are also creating a model rehabilitation center, a model elephant conservation and care center, and hoping to create a functional standard operating procedure model that can be emulated across the country for humane and practical care of elephants. So we've in fact borrowed ideas from your facility as well. We have India's first and only elephant hospital that we established not so long ago, and we have about 30 elephants in our care at the moment.
All right, so can you elaborate a little bit more about a specific project that's been supported by the Elephant Sanctuary's International Partner Program?
Certainly, Joy. In fact, the Tennessee Elephant Sanctuary has been supporting quite a few of our projects, and I'll go through them one by one. And the first one that I think is really important for protecting wild elephants is the Wild Herd Protection Program that you guys have been supporting. And this is, this started off because a herd of wild elephants entered the central state of Chhattisgarh in India, where people had not seen elephants for decades. And suddenly people saw elephants walking through their fields, crossing roads, and they didn't know how to really behave around wild elephants. And so obviously there was crop destruction, property damage, loss to lives, and then there was revenge killing by people. So, the local people were up in arms, wanting the government to capture those elephants or send them away or kill them or shoot them or whatever. And then the government approached us, and Wildlife SOS sent a team there to study the whole problem. And then we found a solution, which was to radio collar the matriarch of that herd and then create an early warning alert system to track those elephants real time and alert the communities that lived in that landscape as to when these elephants were moving in which direction, so they could be alerted and they could come outside and make a little noise, distract the elephants, and protect themselves. This has worked like a charm, and I think it's a perfect example that's not only sustainable because it works in partnership with local communities, but it also is a program that we hope to emulate across India. Other governments are now approaching us and asking us to help them in their states solve the problem in a similar way. And of course, this is extremely risky. It's no easy task. It's easier said than done, because the matriarch of that herd has to be found. You have to track them on foot for weeks and weeks and weeks with a team of trackers and your veterinarians. And once you finally get her, you have to tranquilize her with a very carefully calibrated dosage of DART, of sedative. So she gets sedated, but it is standing sedation. And then you have to go over there, blindfold her, put the radio collar around her neck, and then, give her the reversal and then watch her go away safely and make sure that she gets back to the herd. And then you can track her real time. So that has been a really great solution. In addition to that, your institution has also helped us with a mahout or an elephant keeper training program in India. That has been such a valuable resource because we are building capacity. We're teaching people modern, scientific, and humane ways of looking after elephants. And not only that, the Tennessee Elephant Sanctuary has helped us create a manual for mahouts and elephant keepers that is both in Hindi and in English. So we're able to use it for these communities on the ground. And you've also helped us build dorms. We have dormitories for the mahouts who come for training. And these have been incredibly helpful, and they've really been, they've enabled us to, get people on the ground to come and attend these workshops to learn about humane and practical management of elephants along scientific grounds.
That's wonderful. So can you tell us about just like one positive outcome you've already seen from these programs that you're doing with the elephants?
I've seen a lot of positive outcomes from these programs that we're doing with elephants, and I could list them for you. One is that, people in Chhattisgarh are not losing lives. We had 90 human fatalities in, I think, just a couple of years when the elephants were there, the wild elephants. And once we put on the early warning alert system, that herd, nobody has actually suffered a fatal attack from that herd ever since we did that. So I think that is itself a huge positive outcome. In addition to that, I think a lot of organizations, a lot of elephant owners are now approaching us wanting to learn about humane elephant care and modern elephant care. Several forest department camps have sent their staff to us for learning and training. Our workshops for the mahouts have been hugely helpful. I think it's an indication that we need to really move forward with this and continue it as a model that can be emulated easily for the future.
That's really incredible. So what do you think is the greatest problem or the greatest threat facing elephants in the world today?
I think the greatest threat that elephants have today, in addition to poaching, is the fact that, the human population is just growing at such a rapid rate. And I think we are, rapidly taking away their forests, their habitat, their corridors. We are fragmenting it. There's encroachment. There's train lines. I mean, if I was an elephant, I would be terrified because there is no space that's safe. I turn left, I have a train track. I turn right, there's a road. I go straight, there's a, electric, a high voltage electric line. And then I turn back, there's human habitation. Where do I go? So I think people need to learn to be more tolerant of the species and learn to appreciate the fact that we have these elephants and let's not lose them in our lifetime.
Yes, absolutely. So with that in mind, what is one action people can take to help elephants just in our everyday lives?
I think one action that people can take, the first thing I would say is please, at least with Indian elephants, we'd like you to go to the refusetowrite.org website, educate yourself so you know more about elephants because knowledge is power. And please sign the petition that we have over there and subscribe to the Wildlife SOS newsletter. You can arm yourself with a lot of knowledge with that, and then you can start making a difference. And then I think support organizations like Wildlife SOS, the Tennessee Elephant Sanctuary. I think, a collaboration like what we have here is making a huge difference on the ground, Joy.
That's wonderful. So last question, where else can we find your organization online? Where can people go if they want to learn more about Wildlife SOS?
Well, I think you can visit wildlifesos.org. People can also go to our YouTube channel, which is Wildlife SOS, and subscribe to it. We have a lot of information about elephants on these two channels, as well as our Facebook, which is Wildlife SOS India.
Perfect. Well, thank you again for joining me on the call today. For all of you watching at home, if you want to continue the World Elephant Day celebration, you can visit elephants.com/World Elephant Day, where you will find family activities, crafts, and more ways to take action for elephants. Thank you.
Thank you, Joy, and happy Elephant Day to you.